Cubs celebration is dying down inside Wrigley Field. Outside Wrigley Field, we can still hear fans roaring after a 5-0 victory over the Dodgers in Game 6. The Cubs advance to the World Series. With Mike DiGiovanna, I'm Lindsay Theory for the Los Angeles Times. Mike, this place was tense, it was exciting, it was loud from the very first pitch, long before first pitch, I should say, as the Cubs, they're headed to the World Series for the first time since 1945.
Yeah, it's a huge sort of a load and a huge burden off the Cubs' back and their fans. You know, it's been 71 years since this team has gone to the World Series, and there's always a sense of dread among Cubs fans. You know, they were so close twice in the last few decades. You had the Steve Bartman game in 2003, and you got a sense even in the middle of the game when it was still 3-0 that they weren't quite ready to celebrate. But boy, the way Kyle Hendricks pitched tonight, and then with Aroldis Chapman coming in behind him, you could sense from about the 6th or 7th inning on that this is going to be a really good party. And I don't think there's going to be a lot of people sleeping in this town tonight.
Doesn't matter if you're a Dodgers fan or a Cubs fan, you better hope that Steve Bartman's out there enjoying this one with a cold beer. Now, the Dodgers took a 2-1 lead over the Cubs, and then they lost 3 straight, and they lost those games in the worst way: sloppy defense and unable to hit the ball. What were the Cubs doing that was so effective?
Well, as John Lester, John Lester said 3 games ago we were the worst, best team in baseball. You know, they were shut out in games 2 and 3, and there was a lot of anxiety and fear, among the Cubs fans. And certainly the Dodgers did not play their best baseball at all, but you also have to credit the Cubs pitching. Lackey did a good job in Game 4. Lester was dominant in Game 5. And Hendricks, I mean, he didn't even let the Dodgers breathe tonight in Game 6. And I think defensively, the Cubs were superior all across the field. Offensively, they broke out in the last 3 games. I think it was something like 23 runs. And it all started with that bunt single. Let's not forget that by Ben Zobrist in the 4th inning of Game 4. Sometimes it's the little things that can really turn the momentum in a big way.
The Cubs have Javier Baez at second base. He was a guy that not only provided a lot of energy, he provided a lot of offense, a lot more defense for this Cubs team that really showed they don't have a weakness.
No, it's an interesting mix of guys. They have Lester and John Lackey and David Ross, really call them crusty veterans. And then their youth is really impressive on this team. Tonight they started 4 guys who were under the age of 24, and Javier Baez.
Does that make you feel old?
I am extremely old.
I feel so old.
Wilson Contreras behind the plate hits a home run. Baez is part of 3 double plays, 1 to end the game. And Addison Russell had a big double, I believe it's to lead off the 2nd inning, and scored a run.
And a couple big home runs in the series.
Yeah, and they also start Albert Almera in right field for Jason Hayward, who's a $184 million player in the biggest game of the season for the Cubs. That tells you the kind of confidence that they have in these kids, and they're definitely playing with a swagger, and I think it's going to help them next week.
So the Dodgers season is over. The Cubs will try to win, I should say, their first World Series since 1908.
Yeah, I'm going to have to talk to Plaschke about what it was like to cover that series, and it'll be an interesting, 1908. I mean, my goodness, I'm assuming there aren't many people alive in this city who were there to witness that. Tonight was a huge celebration, but I can only imagine what this town's going to be like if they win at all. It's, I was in Boston when they ended their 86-year drought in 2004, and that was a party that went on for months. So it's going to be a lot of fun around here if they do win.
The party's over in Los Angeles as they'll sit through an off-season wondering exactly what went wrong in these final 3 games. With Mike DiGiovanna, I'm Lindsay Theory for the Los Angeles Times from Wrigley Field.